Do you remember the 2015 Canadian Grand Prix? No? Understandable, it was a pretty forgettable race, but it was one where the F1 audience groaned their mutual displeasure at the nature of drivers being coached, over elements like tyre management, looking after the car, and according to who you ask, the narrative in Formula 1 that they want to see their drivers pushing flat out and making more mistakes, seeing them at their limit. See, that narrative has always pretty much been a myth. Especially when one, in a perfect world, a team wants to win while taking as little risk as possible, driving as slowly as they possibly can manage, and second, the fact that car management has almost always been a thing in Formula 1. Just ask Martin Brundle, who after that very Grand Prix on Sky Sports, said that in his day, they had to manage more elements of the car because it was before the days of two-way telemetry. And this was the 80s and 90s, who many feel was the golden era of Formula 1. Team radio is, in the context of F1, a sausage. And this is the problem with us as fans and a sense of entitlement about how we want our sport to be. We've had team radio on live TV only really since the early 2000s, and it was never really a problem until we heard the truth about what was going on track in the supposed tyre management era. It's like sausage. Most people love a good one, but no one really wants to know how it was made. And F1 just visited the sausage maker. It's the problematic nature of a sport where its fans can't stand to see its image damaged, and in a sport where with all the technology in the world around it, we will always care most about the squishy bit behind the wheel. With human beings, we're almost always going to be more compelled and attracted to human stories. Hence why we had the rule change for Singapore later in the season, where most driver instructions were banned unless it was for the matter of safety. Many complimented the move, saying it was more on the driver to make a difference in races rather than the car. Right up until this past Sunday. Nico Rosberg had a damaged gearbox in the latter stages of the British Grand Prix, and he was told an engine setting and an instruction to avoid 7th gear to nurse the car home. It worked and he finished in second despite the radio instruction rule being broken, the same rule that came into question when Hamilton had his engine management issue. The rule was essentially put on trial, its first ever recognised infringement, and Rosberg got a 10-second time penalty, demoted him from second to third. The stewards in the FIA probably didn't know it at the time, but they just dug themselves into an almighty hole. F1's equivalent of the Kobayashi Maru. Too small a penalty, we question what the point of the rule was. Too big, and we slam it for being too harsh on a driver losing 18 points in those circumstances. See, a new precedent has been set. Everyone was afraid of a penalty regarding the rule, hence why it was never broken before. If you ask a team what it would rather have, a 10-second time penalty or an increased risk of a retirement like yesterday, they're going to take the penalty every single time. If the rule wasn't changed, then you're going to see it broken much more often now that teams know where the line is. This rule, if it stands, will be taken advantage of, and I believe it now has to be scrapped. Not to mention, through absolutely no fault of his own, Rosberg's had 3 points taken away from him for a team taking a complete common sense solution to a problem, where a penalty is the same as when he ran Hamilton off the road a week prior. If you can't see the bullshit in that, I don't know what to tell you. In Formula 1, we as fans just have to accept that sometimes elements are a necessary evil in the spirit of competition, and sometimes we pinch just a little bit too much at the drivers we hail as heroes. As I've said time and time again, we're never going to get anything close to universal happiness. So much so, we push for placebo rules like this one to make us feel better about the product we watch so masochistically. So please, let's put our sausages away and take on more meaningful battles for a better sport. Oh yeah, one more thing. Stop booing the fucking drivers!